You're trying to do your best at home and at work, but you're working long hours and missing precious moments with your kids and wondering if they think you're a good mum. You're torn between work and home and feeling selfish for wanting space. You feel like you're giving your all to everyone else, adapting, coping, while slowly abandoning yourself in the process. But what if it's not work-life balance failing you, but the societal system you've been trying to survive? This is Confessions of a Working Mum, where we finally say the things we've buried from guilt and shame. Hello and welcome to Confessions of a Working Mum, the space where we get honest about the beautiful, messy reality of modern motherhood, ambition, and everything in between. I'm your host, Michelle Akester-Marsh, founder of Unshakable Mama. I'm a life coach and healer, wife and mum, family-focused feminist, supporting working mums to reconnect with more calm, confidence, and self-trust so they lead themselves and their families with more presence, ease, and joy. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Vicky Morley from Wigan, who has courageously stepped forward to help shift the story for other working mums and their families, one mum, one boundary, and one belief shift at a time. So welcome, Vicky. It's really lovely to have you here today. Would you like to just share who you are and a little bit about your family?
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me. I've not done anything like this before, so for anyone thinking, should I do it or shouldn't I would say yes. I'm Vicky, I'm 52. I'm a mum of two daughters, one's 19, one's 22. My 19-year-old lives at home, my 22-year-old doesn't. I've also been married for 32 years. We were debating this yesterday. We thought it was 33, but it's 32. I run the online language lounge, so I provide online French and German lessons, which I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, which I'm really enjoying. Before that, I used to be a French and German teacher, so I've always taught. I had a little rest from teaching, but stayed in schools, and I worked on the pastoral side of things. So I've also been assistant head of year, pastoral manager, deputy head, acting head. Then I changed and I started working in a primary school as their pastoral manager, and then my family circumstances changed, and that's when I set up the online language lounge.
Great stuff. So tell me about the balance then of work and life, and what are the confessions? Why are you here? What are you here to share today?
So if I kind of start from now and work backwards, if that's okay, that will
Yeah.
make more sense, I think. So at the moment, touching wood, life is really good. My balance is brilliant. It hasn't always been like that though, which I'll explain in a minute. So with my tutoring company, I don't run it like traditional tutoring companies. So because with our family situation, we've had a lot of times where we've arranged to do things, we've booked them, we've paid for them, and then we haven't been able to go. And it's really frustrating paying out for things when you don't receive the service or you don't get the experience. And so with my tutoring, I wanted to kind of give back to people a bit. I want them to understand. I understand that life gets in the way sometimes, and it's just unavoidable. If people are ill, if their mental health isn't okay, if something happens, we can't, even if you're a very reliable person, there will be times where you're unreliable and it just can't be helped. I didn't want people to be paying for lessons they haven't had. So I don't ask for upfront payments. My students get billed at the end of each calendar month just for the lessons they have had. I don't charge cancellation fees unless I'm left sitting waiting for you. But so long as you tell me before the start of the lesson, I don't charge cancellation fees, because I know that sometimes you just can't, something comes up and you just can't do it.
So what are the reasons where you've had to cancel things?
So things like my youngest daughter, who's 19, who lives with us, she has mental health issues. I won't go into loads of detail. She has given me permission to say the general information, but she has anxiety and panic disorder, and she's had that for about the last 5 years. We do think she's probably autistic and has ADHD as well. So a combination of all of those things. there have been times where she hasn't been able to leave the house.
Mm.
She gets very overwhelmed with big events, so she gets very overwhelmed on her birthday, in case she's not okay, and then she ruins it for other people, is how she feels. So
Okay.
we had a bowling party arranged, booked for lots of her friends, and at the last minute she was getting in such a state we had to cancel it.
Mm.
um, so quite often, and you can't tell people in advance that you're going to need to cancel, because it literally is, she could be all right 1 minute and the next minute she's just not.
Mm.
So it's really, I've had to change my focus, because I'm very much, you need to be there earlier or on time, you need to do what you say you're going to do. And I've had to change. I still think that, but I've had to sort of dial it down and realize that sometimes that just isn't possible, and it doesn't make you a bad person because
Yeah.
you haven't been able to get to that appointment, or you've arrived late because there was an issue getting there.
And how did it make you feel originally when you first realized that this is what you needed to do? You needed to cancel. How did that
I
make
would get
you
very stressed about it. I still get a little bit jittery if we're supposed to be somewhere for a certain time, but we have to do things in her time scale, otherwise she doesn't manage them. So if
feel?
I try to hurry her and she's not ready, that backfires. Um, so now I'm more laid back about it. It's still, obviously, these are values that I've had all my life, that you need to be on time and you need to not let people down and that sort of thing. But now I'm of the opinion, well, if we're 5 minutes late, we're 5 minutes late, at least she's made it.
Yes.
We're doing our best, whatever happens will happen. And
Mm.
I've had to adjust my thinking to save my own stress levels, because otherwise that doesn't help either. If she's already a bit anxious and stressed and then I'm getting stressed because we're late, uh,
Mm.
that just makes it all worse. So
Yeah.
I've had to kind of step back and think, well, it is what it is. If we're late, we're late. If we don't go, we don't go. It's not the end of the world. We're not hurting anybody. People who know us will understand. People who don't understand, well, never mind.
They'll know. They'll know. So going backwards a bit further then, so you've got your own business now, which is incredible, and you said you come from a teaching background. So how did you find that balance and juggle?
So I found that very difficult. I had my eldest daughter while I was teaching. We lived down in London, so we weren't going to be able to afford for me not to go back to work full time. Um, so we found a wonderful childminder, absolutely lovely, treated her just like her own, literally would have her, she had her once, even when she'd got conjunctivitis, she took her to the doctor, she bathed her eyes, which a lot of people, that's above and beyond, and nurseries certainly won't do that.
Mm.
So I didn't have any worries about who she was spending the time with, but I did used to get very upset because I was full time and I worked at a private girls' school at that point. So there was a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
a lot of expectations. And my head of department was lovely, but she didn't have any children and she was a workaholic. So knowing that she would go home and work all evening, she never told me I had to, but I just kind of felt like I should because she did.
Mm.
So counting up, I made a mistake once of counting up the number of hours that week that my daughter had spent with the childminder compared to the number of hours she'd spent with me. And I cried, because that
Mm.
wasn't the way around. I had children because I wanted children and I wanted to spend time with them. So that wasn't fitting with my view of having children.
Yeah.
I also found it difficult because my mum was a stay-at-home mum. So I felt a little bit bad for going back to work because I'd been brought up with mum stay at home to look after children. And then I wasn't doing that. But
Yeah.
it wasn't through choice, because we wouldn't have been able to afford for me not to go back to work. But I did used to find that very difficult.
Understandably, yeah. And I'm sure that resonates with many, many people as well. I mean, I know a lot of teachers, but just in, office jobs and things like that. I
Yes.
think things are more flexible now, but just prior to COVID, dare I say, there was less flexibility. Uh,
Yes.
so how did that inflexibility impact how you felt and about the how did it impact family life at home?
I mean, it was very difficult because also anyone who's a teacher or has been a teacher will know it's not just 9 till 3:30. Not if you do it well, anyway. Um,
Mm.
So, I would pick her up from the childminders, go home, but I'd still got marking to do and planning to do and reports to write and all that stuff that goes with teaching. So I did used to try and do that once she was in bed. But then also, if you've been at work all day, and not just teachers, but if you've been at work all day, then you've had your few hours till bedtime with your toddler. Um, then you might need to sit down and eat at some point, and then you start your work. You're
Yeah.
already really tired by then. And it's sort of, what quality is the work going to be that you do? But you have to do it. And then you
Yeah.
can start again the next day. Or if you've been up in the night with your children and you're thinking, oh goodness, can you just go back to sleep? I need, I'm getting up in 3 hours. Feeling sort of the guilt there that you're looking at it from your point of view rather than that your child needs you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're sort of constantly torn between, because you want to do a good job, but you want to be a good mum as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and you can do both, but sometimes it doesn't work and you can't do both to the degree that you want to.
Yeah. And
That's
in
when it's
those,
difficult.
yeah, yeah. In those times when, you were feeling torn, how did that kind of, how was that feeling?
I think it was just frustrating because at the time there wasn't a choice.
Mm.
Um, that that was the only job I'd ever done. It was the job that I wanted to do and I was enjoying. Um, and there wasn't a choice for me to be a stay-at-home mum at that point.
Yeah.
So it was just frustrating because there weren't sort of alternatives that I could do. They wouldn't drop hours to part-time. Um, I even struggled to get time off for appointments with my youngest child, and I was most disappointed because my head was a woman, and she had children, and I thought she might have understood, but she
Yeah.
didn't. She was actually, I was much better when I had a head who was a man.
Yeah.
um,
It's interesting you say that because I'm learning through these conversations that the pressure that we feel as women is actually coming from other women
yeah,
because of, well, I did it, so this is how it needs to be done,
yeah,
or like you should do it this way because you've got roles and responsibilities to fulfill. And so that's interesting that you're saying this as well. It seems to be quite a theme that's coming out
yes,
frighteningly.
yes, yeah.
But yes, and this is
My
why it has
male
to
head
change.
was my male head was so different. It was absolutely anything to do with family. You do that. That's fine.
Amazing.
Very different.
Amazing. Yeah, that's
I'm sure there are lots of lovely female heads, by the way.
yeah.
Even that is
Yeah.
a bit difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely a thing going on with other women and how we treat other women,
Yes,
especially like younger women or in different situations.
yes.
So yeah. So how did you juggle like the school runs and things and
So we moved. So my husband got a promotion, and we moved. We were down near London. We moved up here 20 years ago now. My daughter was 2 and a bit, so she had only been going to the childminders at that point. When we came up here, because of the difference, we were able to sell our 2 bedroom flat, and we didn't have to pay as much for our 3 bedroom house up here. We had a little bit of leeway then, so I became a stay-at-home mum for a few years, and I just absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved it. I could do all the play groups. I could just be with her, which I hadn't been able to be before.
yeah.
And while I was off, I had my second daughter. Um, so I was able to go and look around the nurseries, find out, because we'd moved to a different area. I didn't know anything, so it was getting information. So to start with, it was fine because I was there. I could take her to nursery, um, then come home, take the little one to playgroup. I was just there for everything, and I
Yeah.
absolutely thoroughly loved that.
So
um,
can you describe the difference in how it felt then from like working and being inflexible to being there
Yes,
all the
and I
time?
don't mean this. I'm not criticizing any mums who work, because
No.
I've done it, and even if you choose, I had to do it. But if you choose to do it, that's okay as well. But I felt for me like I was now being a proper mum.
Hmm.
It was my vision of being a mum. I was there for everything. And I know not everybody has that vision, and that's okay. So I'm not criticizing anyone. But for me, as well, because my mum had been a stay-at-home mum, that's what I'd been brought up with. So for me to then be a stay-at-home mum, I just loved it. And it felt like this is how it's supposed to be. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be fitting my child in with everything else that I'm doing. My child is the priority. So
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. And don't forget that this is your story. So this is how you feel. So
Yes.
there is
I don't want to
so what
offend
you just said
anyone.
is fine. And I think that, there's lots of women who would like to be a stay-at-home mum, but then at the same time, like there's lots of women who want to go to work.
Yes.
I think the problem boils down to the fact that we have to work and we don't have the choice either way due to economics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the so yeah, so it's your story. It's amazing. So what would you say that you often dream of or long for now?
Now I long for a holiday. We went on an amazing one. Oh, it will have been probably about 6 years ago. My eldest daughter had just finished year 11 and done her GCSEs. My youngest daughter had just completed year 7. So it seemed a good time to do it. And I have family in Australia. So we did a bit of a holiday of a lifetime. They had never flown before. So I thought, let's just go for it, because if we take them on a little flight to Spain and they don't like it, I'll never get them to Australia. So let's just do it. um, so we had a couple of nights in New York on the way out. We had about 2 weeks then in Australia with my family, and they met people who they'd never met before. Um, I lost my dad when I was 19, but he was one of 4, and his closest brother is the one in Australia, and he's like my surrogate dad. I share him with my cousins. So it was just so lovely. It was the closest I could get to my girls meeting my dad.
Yeah,
So that was just fabulous. And then we had a couple of days in LA on the way back and did Disney. So it really was a holiday of a lifetime. And that was just before my youngest daughter's anxiety kicked in. So if we had have left it any later, we wouldn't have managed that holiday. So that I just have such fond. I mean, we've done lots of other holidays and things which have been lovely. We're a very close family, but that is just my favourite one, because it was
yeah,
just so meaningful in so many ways. And then seeing how life has turned out since then, I am so glad we did it, and we did it then.
yeah,
So I just do crave, obviously, with the anxiety and panic disorder, sometimes you not being able to leave the house, a holiday has been off the cards. And then last year, my husband became an amputee. So that hasn't really been a possibility. I know it will be, but also because I've been the only one working for a while, not now, but up until this month, I've been the only one working. So it hasn't been feasible to think of, there hasn't been spare money to think about a holiday.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I would love a holiday.
And you said in your notes that it makes you feel selfish. Why does it make you feel selfish to be
A
wanting a
little
holiday?
bit. I don't know, because there's 2 holidays I'd like, and I think one of them
Okay.
feels selfish. One holiday would be with everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
we could just celebrate, because my husband's in a much better place health wise. My daughter's coming along really well. My other daughter's brilliant. So just to kind of celebrate us as a family and the hard times we've been through, that would just be lovely.
Yeah.
I'd also quite like one either on my own or with some friends where I could just switch off. And because I am a worrier, I always have been. And then with everybody's issues, I worry all the time. I'm always, I do try and look after myself more now, because I have been very guilty of putting myself bottom of the pile. And I realise, the cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup. I know that. But I'm never going to put myself rock solid at the top of that list. They're always going to be up there. But I am trying to make more of an effort to look after myself as well. Um, but it would just, so I'm always very mindful of how they're feeling. What are they doing? What are they worrying about? How are they going to be? So it would just, even if it was just for a weekend, it would just be nice if I knew someone else was on standby to help them and I
Yeah.
could just be in the moment and just not worry about anyone else. But that makes me
No,
feel selfish.
you can make that happen, you know, you can make that happen. I made it happen for myself. I went to Mauritius last year on my own.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's lovely.
That was just to see a friend, and that was like really incredible. Yeah, so it's definitely possible. It's all about the priorities
Yes.
and
Well, I
about like
have,
just tweaking.
yes, I have done, not holidays, but I decided normally my New Year's resolution, I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions, but normally it's eat healthier, do more exercise, and I never manage that, might for a couple of weeks like most people, and then it goes again.
Yeah,
So this year, after our horrendous year last year, I decided the key word this year was fun. And they've all good-heartedly taken the mickey out of me for that, because it's like, oh, are you having fun? I'm like, I am actually, thank you.
awesome.
So I made a list on my phone of things I wanted to do this year. Some of them were with family, some of them weren't.
Mm.
Um, and I've also now got a list on my phone of things I've done this year, because my memory's terrible. And if I don't write it down, I just don't remember, or it doesn't get done. So all sorts of things. And I wanted new things. I didn't want to just do the same old again, because I thought last year we survived. This year I wanted to live.
Yeah,
So I put all sorts of anything that came up on Facebook. I was like, oh, I fancy that. So I put, I went to an ice festival in York with my eldest daughter because she lived near there. I wanted to go to a balloon festival, hot air balloon festival. I didn't manage that one because it clashed with something else. So that's on next year's now. I wanted to go and see a TV show filmed live. So I went the other month with my friend and we saw Graham Norton do the Wheel of Fortune.
fantastic.
All sorts of different. I wanted to go to a tulip festival because I didn't know that was a thing. But the weather wasn't great. So again, I missed that. So that's on next year's. But there've been a lot of things that I've done this year, because rather than just thinking, oh, I'd like to do that, and then not doing anything about it, I've made it my mission to be more proactive and to create my fun.
Fantastic. Yeah, like
I've now
so
got a nice long list of things I have. I look through it every so often and think, oh yeah, I have done a lot this year.
that's
Um,
incredible. That's such a good list. And yeah, and the fun. Fun is something that we all want more of, like to enjoy our lives more as well, and
yes,
not just feel like we're bystanders.
yes,
So
yes.
so
But I
good
think
on
that has
you.
filled my cup so that I could look after everybody else. And
Yes.
Saturday is the only day I don't do any work at all. So I still have a lesson on a Sunday morning. So Saturday is my day. That doesn't mean I don't help them with things. I give my husband lifts if he's just started working every other Saturday. So I take him to and from work, or if my daughter wants to go out with friends, I'll take her and things. But at the end of the day, on a Saturday, I am the priority. And if there's something that I want to do, they make their own arrangements.
Yeah.
And it's a nice feeling that Saturday is important and it's a me day and everybody's happy with that. And they like seeing me do things for myself because that makes them happy because they can see I'm happy.
Exactly. That's what we need to understand. So the key takeaway for me from what you've just said is let's be selfish.
Oh,
Let's be, but it's not selfish though.
yeah,
It's not at all,
yes,
but it's the complete opposite.
yes,
But that's what we think.
yes,
Yeah, we need to prioritize ourselves for sure. So
yes.
that's incredible. Well, celebrating you for all of those amazing fun wins there. Sounds fantastic. So my final question for you today then is, how much would you have paid a fairy godmother to help you back in the day when you were struggling with everything, or even now?
Yes, I've got a lot on my to-do list. She wouldn't be bored. Um, oh, I don't know. A lot, I think, if I was
Hmm.
able to. Um, yeah, I mean, things like just, yeah, having time with people.
Hmm.
Having time with people it is just priceless. And when you nearly lose someone, or when you see someone who's having such a hard time and life is a struggle every day, um, just to be able to be with them, or just to have her magic wand and just make it better for them. I I would give everything for that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yes.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you so much for sharing so openly and vulnerably with me today. And I know it's going to help at least one lady out there, one mum
I
out
hope
there
so.
just to hear your story and be like, oh, light bulbs, that's, that's me, or that's really helped me in some way. So thank you so much for joining me today.
May I just add one tiny thing before we go?
Yeah.
With me setting up my business, I did that because I had to stay at home with my daughter because she wasn't okay. And I needed an income. And I thought, what am I qualified to do? And although I hadn't taught for a little while because I've been pastoral, I thought, well, I'm a qualified French and German teacher. Right, I'm going to set up a business. So my advice would be, don't be scared. I had no business experience at all. And I've only now got my 2.5 years, and I'm not an expert, but it is still doable. It doesn't have to, you don't have to have it all worked out. It's very true what they say, you just have to get started. And you learn as you go. So, if you have got a dream, mine wasn't a dream, mine was through necessity, but if you have got a dream to do it, don't think that you can't. At least have a go. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong, but you've tried it. But it is possible to do it without experience.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's very, very sound wisdom there. So thank you for sharing that.
No
Yeah,
problem.
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been lovely to chat.
Thank you for listening.
You're listening to Confessions of a Working Mum. Much love and thanks goes to Vicky for her time and courage to share her story today. If you're listening to this and thinking, this is me, perhaps you look like you've got it all together, but inside you feel stretched too thin. You're carrying the mental load of everyone's lives, feeling torn between work and your family, and feeling guilty for wanting space. I want you to know, this isn't because you're doing anything wrong. You're not alone, and this pressure you're feeling is widespread. But it doesn't have to stay like this. There is a way to create more calm, space, and support, where you don't feel like you're constantly choosing between being a good mum and being yourself, where you can actually enjoy your life again, not just hold it all together. If this conversation resonated, you might want to start by downloading my free Overload Reset. It's a really simple way to begin creating some breathing room. And if you're ready for deeper support, you can explore a 60-minute one-to-one mind massage with me or Unshakable Mama's 4-month portal. Both spaces are designed to help you release what was never yours to carry and to give yourself permission to live the life you truly want. You don't have to figure this out by yourself anymore. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. If you found it insightful, please subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and feel free to share with another working mum who needs to hear this today.